Krishna Hare Thank you so much, Prabhuji, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Lakshmi Narayan ki Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So after that, we'll wait for Ajita Krishna Prabhu. We'll start. Yeah. Yagu Prabhu.
Yes, Ji. Yes, Ji, I can read it, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhu.
Sarva karmani manasa.
Sarva karmani manasa.
Sanyas yaste sukham vasti.
Sanyas yaste sukham vasti.
Navadvare pure dehi.
Navadvare pure dehi.
Naiva kurvana karyan.
Naiva kurvana karyan.
Translation, Prabhuji. When the embodied living beings controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates. The bracket, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Ji.
Jagus Prabhuji, would you like to recite?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Na kartritvam na karmani.
Na kartritvam na karmani.
Lokasya shrujati Prabhu.
Lokasya shrujati
Prabhu.
Na karma phala samyogam.
Na karma phala samyogam.
Swabhavastu pravartate.
Swabhavastu pravartate.
Translation. The embodied spirit, master of city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Vatsala Mataji, are you comfortable to read?
Yes, Prabhu. 15, right?
Yeah, Mataji.
Thank you. Nadate kasyachit papam
Nadate
kasyachit
papam
na chaiva sukrutam vibhu
nachaiva
sukritam
sukritam vibhuva
ajnanena vartam jnanam
Ajnanena
vartam
Ajnanam
jnanam
tena mukyanti jantava.
Tena
tena mukyanti
Jantava.
janatva.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
I will read Prabhuji this one.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah.
Sarva karmani manasa
Sarva karmani manasa
sanyasaste sukham vasi
sanyas yaste sukham vashi
namadvare pure dehi
navadvare pure
naiva kurvan nakarayan.
neva kurvan
karyayan.
Translation by His Divine Grace of Chaitanya Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so maybe we'll do a short discussion. Since we have a smaller turnout today, we'll just keep it short for everybody's benefit, and then next time we'll expand a little more on it. So I'll just do the invocation prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunath Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So text 13. One second. 13. So Sarva Karmani Manasa
Sanyasyaste sukham vashi navdvare pure dehi neva kin kurvanna karyan. So actually in these three verses, 13, 14 and 15, we start to get an understanding of a concept that we had touched upon earlier, and I actually wanted to expand upon. So I'll just maybe do a little bit of it today, and then next time we'll do more so that we can have more people kind of listening to it. But basically, in this verse in the translation, it's very interesting. Actually, instead of me reading it, maybe somebody else, maybe Tyaguji, Jaganesh Prabhu, somebody, would you like to read just the translation of text 13?
When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of nine gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done.
So this is actually a very, very important concept. He says, Krishna says that the embodied living being. So the living being is who? The spirit soul. And the spirit soul, that's our true identity. We are spiritual in nature, so we are spirit souls. We are just residing in this body. We're just residing in this body. And so Krishna says that when the embodied being, the living entity who's inside this body, controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, meaning when he controls his nature is a very broad concept, but in summary, it refers to getting to the point where you can control the influence of the modes of nature upon the body. So we have all acquired a certain nature, like they say. What is that nature? How much of each of the three modes acts upon us and causes us to act in certain ways. So when the living entity controls his nature, meaning he understands that, okay, I am under the influence of the modes of material nature, which will cause me to act in certain ways which are not recommended in the Shastra, which is not what I should be doing. So that kind of constitutes controlling in nature. Then he resides happily in the city of nine gates, neither working nor causing work to be done. Neither working. But we might say that, but the soul is in the body and the body is working. We are talking, walking, sleeping, eating, running, doing so many things. So how can we say that the living entity is not working or not causing work to be done? So this brings us to the concept of who is the doer? Who is the doer of the action? Whatever actions we are performing, here it is saying that the living entity, when he controls his nature, does not cause the work to be done and does not actually work. So then who works? So we'll expand upon that concept next time. But here we'll just open up the question that the living entity actually does not perform the action. Action is performed by the modes of nature. So, and that's what is being said in this verse. If action is being performed by the modes of nature, then like we were discussing, we go through karmic reactions. And why do we go through those reactions if we are not working? Then why are we suffering or enjoying the reactions? So we'll discuss that next time. But in this verse, it's very interesting. The body is compared to a city. It says city of nine gates. So it's a city. This body is considered a city. Now, Prabhupada has many times explained in the previous verse, especially in chapter 2, that we are not the body, we are spirit soul. And here that concept is being further reinforced. And a very nice analogy is being given that the living entity actually resides in a body, and the body is like a city. So now it becomes easier for us to understand that we are actually not this body, we are something else. If you think about it, we live in, let's say I live in Atlanta, or myself, we live in Atlanta. You all live in Philadelphia. Just because you live in Philadelphia doesn't mean that you are Philadelphia, right? So similarly, if the spirit soul is residing in the city, which is this material body, then it's not very logical for the living entity to say that I am this body. We are separate from this body. Another thing that helps us understand that we are not the body is that when we were born, did we have a choice that we will be in this body or that body, or born to these parents? What choice did we have? Nothing. We just found ourselves one day that, oh, here I am. And then as our parents raised us, they gave us a name, they fed us, they nurtured us till we became, youth, and were capable of, eating ourselves and doing things ourselves. And then we start thinking, oh, I'm so and so, I'm this, I'm that. But quite honestly, we did not go out and say one day, okay, I'm a grown-up, mature, sensible person, I know what I'm doing, I'll go and purchase this body and I'll live in this body. We didn't have any of those choices. And when we leave this body, that also is not, that's all up to the Lord. And then what will happen to the body? Body will just become lump of ash, that's all. Little, So when we think about all these things, it becomes a little bit easier to understand that we are not this body. The body is changing, it's growing. There are 6 stages they say that the body goes through. First is you're born. Then second is we grow. Third is we stay for some time at a certain level. Fourth is we produce some byproducts. Those who get married have children, so they're byproducts. Fifth is you start dwindling. And sixth is final, when the body vanishes. So these are the stages that everybody goes through. So clearly, when we were infants, or when we were young, or when we are old, whatever it is, we are still the spirit soul, the consciousness, all that is the same. But when you look externally at the body, it changed so much. It's going through so many conditions. We were just discussing before the start, we go through health problems, this thing, that thing, it's all related to the body. So in the purport, Prabhupada says that when a person understands that he's not this body, then the person stops suffering the conditions that the body suffers through. Now, of course, we are aware of the suffering that our body goes through. So we cannot say that, oh, if my body is feeling some tiredness or whatever, we can't say that I'm not feeling it. Yes, we are feeling, we are aware of it. But we remind ourselves that, okay, this is related to the body. It's a bodily thing. Pray to the Lord. He'll help us handle this situation. So the analogy of the soul residing in the city of 9 gates, or meaning residing in a city, is simply meant to reinforce the idea that we are not the body, we are spirit soul, and that the actions that are being performed by the body are actually not being performed by us, but they are being performed by the modes of nature. And then in 14, the translation is the embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So the modes of nature, Rajagun, Tamagun, and Sattvagun, these three are actually responsible for creating the activity, inducing the activity, and then the fruits of the action. All of these are enacted by the modes of nature. So we'll get more into that, because then the question arises, okay, then why am I going through the suffering of the body, or all the happiness that the body providing? Why am I going through that? If it is not me who's responsible, if the responsibility actually is ours, and we'll come to that after we discuss further in verse 15 and so forth. Okay, so should we take questions, comments, discussion at this point? Because I don't want to go too far into it today.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So maybe I'll let me throw out a question for all of us to kind of discuss a little bit. In verse 13, Krishna is saying we are not the body. So why is it that we think that we are the body? We all think that we are, right? I mean, when we might read and therefore we understand, but why do most people think that they are the body?
So, Prabhuji, if we do not include the spiritual injunction here, means just I do not know anything, So in that way, if I understand, like elephant is there by burn, once it is tied with a small kind of whatever you can say, a rope from anywhere. So she thinks like like she is bounded by that. She cannot break, because in the childhood she was attached to that, and she tried in the beginning, but she was unable. But later on also she is also thinking like that. So in that way, what I'm trying to make the point is like we from very beginning we are attached, maybe this birth also and previous birth also. So we are so entangled to this whatever the material things we are using, means day-to-day things, those or relationships, mother, father, brother, this, that. So we don't want to leave that. Means even though we are thinking like we are already attached, we cannot leave that. So like elephant, she from the birth she tried, after after the birth, and after that she thought like it won't be breakable. I cannot be free. I'll be attached only. So that pursued in the mentally. So we are also materially so previous births and births, we start enjoying. We are thinking like there is no Krishna and something like that. There is nowhere these all things are existing. Even though they are there, I am happy in that. Like Indra also, when he came as in the boar form here, and he is enjoying. So he's saying, Brahmaji, no, I am here, happy here. So that's that could be like the region that we are happy to like whatever material things are there. So here is that Sukriti only means we are not putting our endeavor, or Sukriti not coming. How things are working, Prabhu?
So how things are working. So first off, that's a very good answer. I mean, when you explain why we think we are the body, so it is due to conditioning from all our previous births, and like we are supposed to be, we are Nitya Baddha, right? We are in this material world, in material bodies, since time immemorial. Nobody knows when we came into existence. Right. So that's what we call Nitya Baddha. And so the concept carries through from birth after birth after birth. But finally, when it is due to, so finally what happens is you can identify that it is ignorance on our part, that we are actually living entities, spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. It is ignorance of that fact that causes us to think that, oh, I am this body. But the moment a person comes in contact with the Shastra and explanation of the Shastra which explains that you are not the body, you are the soul, then that ignorance is destroyed. And therefore we realize, oh, okay, the true position is that I am not in this body. So ignorance is what is causing us to stay bound up in this concept. Then you had another question, Ramchandra. You said something towards the end, which
Yeah, I said like in that way, suppose we are keep on continuing that, maybe we are in ignorance only, so we are not able to understand that, like what is the scriptural things of Shastra or Krishna things. So I'm asking in general. So is that the Sukriti somewhere automatically will come and that will pull, there is the Krishna existence, there is the Guru, there is the Shastra, there is the association, I have to do that something. What is the cut point, so that there will be
yes,
yeah.
Good. So the cut point or the transformation takes place when we receive the causeless mercy of a devotee. So that's why Mahaprabhu says, Brahmande Brahmite Kono Bhagavanaji Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata. So what happens is that somehow, due to the mercy of some devotee, maybe we get a little prasad, maybe we get something, then that curiosity starts to build up, and then those pious credits start to build up. And when those pious credits build up, then we get the realizations, and then we get the association. We get the association of the Shastra and explanations of the Shastra, and then we start understanding. But it starts with the kripa, mercy of a devotee, because God's mercy comes to us through the devotee. And so there are two very famous examples in this. One is that of Narad Muni himself. Narad Muni, before he became exalted Narad Muni, he was the son of a maidservant, and he basically served the sadhus. And because he took their prasad, and also in his next life he became Narad Muni. And second example is, which I was thinking about, because now, as Vatsalam Mataji is also saying, Damodar month is about to start. So the mercy that Narad Muni showered upon Manigriva and Nalakuga, who then Krishna liberated while they were standing in the form of the trees. And so over there we realize that it is only because of the mercy of the devotee that we become eligible to receive the mercy of Krishna. And there is actually one more very, very nice story. And of course, it's almost 8:45 now. So next time we'll discuss that story about how the mercy of the devotee leads to getting the mercy of Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions, quick questions or thoughts or comments?
Prabhu, the answer to the question is we are conditioned due to our previous life.
Yes.
Different
That
life.
is yes. And that is why.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Please go ahead. You want to?
Oh, no. All I was going to say was that is why we identify ourselves with the body.
Where is this impression or this conditioning is like getting stored in every birth, that we get conditioned even more from the point where we got it from the previous life?
Well, so like Krishna says, Matta, so Sarvasya Cham Hidi Sanimishto, Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Krishna says that he's in our heart, he's residing. So there's the soul in the body, And beside the soul, Krishna and his Paramatma feature, super soul, is also residing in our body. And so he's recording all of our desires. And he knows what is our conditioning. So let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, if our conditioning is at 90, Krishna is recording that, okay, this person is 90% conditioned. So then when we leave this body, next birth, we start from that 90% conditioning and 10% purified. So it is Krishna who is residing in our body as the super soul, as Paramatma, who keeps a track. And according to our desires, if our desire is that, oh, I want to get rid of this conditioning, then he places us in a favorable situation where we get in contact with the knowledge, with devotees, we get Shastra, we get Siksha, and then this conditioning starts getting cleansed. But most of the population, you will see, they have no interest in all. They say, never mind this. Let's go and watch this movie or do this or do that. That will be so much more fun. So that is a function of our conditioning, material conditioning. So that's what continues.
Okay, Prabhu. So based on the conditioning and our desire, we get the different types of body.
Exactly. Well, the desire and the conditioning forms or shapes our actions, meaning our karma. And then based on our karma, we get reactions, and those reactions lead to the development of a next body.
Okay. Also, no, if no one has questions, can I ask one more?
Sure, of course. There's only
So we were discussing that like we are not reacting to the situation, like everything is carried out by the modes of material nature. So if we understand it correctly, how to make our reactions in a correct way that future reactions are, we are not affected by the future reactions. Did I phrase my question correct?
Yeah, I think I understand your question, and it basically goes to the heart of what we'll expand upon next time. But I may as well just give you the answers now, so then maybe next time will be even more beneficial for you, because you'll sort of build upon what we're discussing.
Sure.
So basically, what happens is that the actions that we get, even though it is the modes of nature that carry out the action, it is the super soul who sanctions that action, but it is our desire for that action that actually, when the super soul sanctions it, when the Paramatma sanctions it, then the modes come in and say, okay, now let's perform this action for this body. But because it was our desire, we are ultimately responsible. And that is why we get the reaction for it. So think about it this way. If you are seated in your car, there's a driver, and if you tell the driver, take me from home to the office, the driver will simply execute. He'll take you to the office. Can you say that the driver is responsible for taking me to the office, or will they say that you are responsible for coming to the office?
We are responsible.
Right. Naturally, you are responsible. The driver simply carried out the instruction. So similarly, the body is like the car, and we are the proprietor of the body. We are the spirit soul who's sitting in the body. We have desires. And in this particular context, the modes are the drivers. So that is why the responsibility is ours. So for your question, since you said, how can we free ourselves from future reactions? We can free ourselves from future reactions by cleansing our desires. If our desire becomes to please Krishna, if our desire becomes to serve Krishna, to serve God, to engage in bhakti, then our actions will be clean, our actions will be devotional, and they will not have sinful reactions. So that is why the path of bhakti is recommended in Bhagavad.
Okay. Yeah, before I asked this question, I was under the impression, or maybe I was thinking like the combination of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Say, for example, 20, 40, 40. We have to tweak in a way it should be 100, 0, 0, so that like we'll avoid that reaction. Is it also possible?
Oh, say that again, Prabhu. Instead of say 40, 40, 20, what did you say was 0, 0?
Yes, the modes of the goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Yeah,
Say,
yeah.
for example, we are in a combination 20, 40, 40.
Sure.
Goodness 20, passion 40, and ignorance 40.
Sure.
We should be trained in such a way like we keep increasing the percentage of goodness to reach 100, so that like we'll be able to respond to the situation in a nicer way.
That's go ahead.
No, is that also a correct way of understanding that?
That is partly correct.
Okay.
Because yes, you want to reduce ignorance and passion and increase goodness. However, our goal actually is to rise above even these three modes of nature.
Okay.
So, and when we rise above the modes, then we utilize the modes also, the influence of the modes, we utilize that also in the service of Krishna. So then the modes cannot bind us. The process of bhakti is so strong that it allows us to utilize even the mode of ignorance in Krishna's service. For example, you see, sleep is an ignorance, but we cannot do without sleep. So the question then becomes, okay, how can we use sleep in Krishna's service? By sleeping such that we get refreshed and rejuvenated. And then when we are awake and refreshed, we again engage in Krishna's service. So that way we have used sleep also to serve Krishna.
Okay.
After 24 hours, we will not be able to function. Another example is ignorance causes anger, right? Hanumanji became angry when they lit his tail on fire, and then he used his anger to burn up all of Lanka. So he used that in Ramchandraji's service. So there was no sinful reaction. Arjun didn't want to fight. Krishna said, now you fight. So when he was shooting arrows, you cannot do it as a joke. I mean, obviously there was a certain amount of anger, but that, you see, he's utilized the modes in Krishna's service. So the idea, Jainesh Prabhu, is not really to become 0, 0, but to use everything 100% in Krishna's service.
Krishna service. Okay. Yeah. Last comment on this. I was also reading one of the texts in Bhagavatam in 7th canto. It says like by developing goodness, you are coming out of passion and ignorance. By following the instruction of the Guru, you are coming out of goodness to the platform of pure goodness.
Right. Shuddha Sattva.
Now I am able to connect that. Like when we are performing a devotional service, like we go beyond these modes, 3 different modes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And so there is actually chapter 14 has full description of the modes of nature and how we can use them in Krishna's service. And there's one verse in there, 14:26, which says, Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So what that verse means is Mam chayo avyabhicharena, that whoever unflinchingly engages in bhakti yogena sevate, engages in devotional service, performs seva, bhakti, sagunan, so these mode, samati, so he overcomes or controls them, samati etan, and then when he controls or goes above these three modes, then he reaches platform of Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, reaches the stage of Brahman. So, of course, the devotee then goes even beyond Brahman realization. He wants to go not only higher than Brahman is Paramatma realization, and higher than Paramatma is Bhagavan realization. So the devotee eventually goes to Bhagavan realization. But the point being that by engaging in devotional service, one can control the influence of the modes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Very nice question. All right, Prabhuji Mataji, any other thoughts, questions, comments?
Tyagu Prabhuji, Vatsala Mataji, if you have, otherwise I will ask one first.
Prabhu, you go ahead. Thank you very much. I'm listening.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, as you mentioned, that it creates the pious things, something, it will raise to the pious platform or something. So does that pious incline to the bhakti? Is that because this sense or piousness, both are not related to the bhakti, right? So is that someone is doing pious karma, then can he get the sukriti?
Yes, I mean, pious activities will eventually give a person enough sukriti that they qualify to come to the or to get the association of the Shastra and pure devotees, and thereby get devotional service. So sukriti is necessary.
Right.
Sukriti is necessary, but in and of itself, it doesn't get us the ultimate goal, but it takes us closer to bhakti. When we build up enough pious credits, then we qualify to get the association of pure devotees and thereby begin our bhakti.
Right.
It is called Ajnata Sukriti, Prabhu, or these are different from each
Yeah,
other?
Agyat Sukriti means that unknowingly somebody performs some pious act. For example, Prabhupada used to give this example that sometimes when Prabhupada was propagating Krishna consciousness, people in the street would just say, "Oh, look at these Hare Krishnas." So they would say it in a joke, but they would still utter the word Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
So unknowingly they were getting benefit by saying Hare Krishna. They didn't do it knowingly. They just, meaning they didn't do it, they didn't utter Hare Krishna for the sake of getting pious credits, but simply because they said Hare Krishna, they got pious credits. So that is Agyata Sukriti.
Without their knowledge. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome.
And similar, Prabhu, like Muslims as well, when they say haram, somewhere I have.
The Ram is being uttered, yes.
Yeah, like Ajamil, without knowing,
Correct.
he was uttering his son's name. Yeah, nice.
Okay, Prabhuji, Mataji, then I think
sorry. So in that way, that's what our parents and all, they put the names of the Lord only like somebody only godly names, kind of your, I mean, any name. I mean, even initiated name is always Krishna, Radharani names, or any related names. So that someone will call also, it will recall, kind of. So
they get Agyata Sukriti, yes. Yes.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Nice, Prabhuji, nice class.
Thank you, Prabhu. Even though it is a small group, we had nice explanations. Thank you, Prabhu.
Glorification of the Lord.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay, Tyaguji. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Vanchakalpadurvasya.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.